In an era of cars with impressive numbers, the T50 seems just like a little fish in a sea of sharks, such as the Koenigsegg Jesko with its 1,600 horsepower, the Hennessy Venom F5 with 1,817, or even electric cars like the Rimac Nevera with its 1,914 horsepower. After all, it has only 670 horsepower. However, I would say that a car is not defined solely by numbers, and this little fish can eat a lot of sharks out there. We are talking about a vehicle designed by one of the greatest geniuses in the history of automotive engineering. We are talking about Ian Gordon Murray. This illustrious engineer was responsible for great feats in Formula One, such as the MP4/4, which was driven by the legendary Ayrton Senna when he won his first championship. He was also the brilliant mind behind the BT46B, also known as the fan car, which had such efficient technology that it only raced once before being halted due to complaints from competitors. The idea was to use a fan to create suction on the car's floor and improve its aerodynamic performance. Murray was one of the pioneers in introducing the highly admired ground effect in modern cars. And in addition to excelling in Formula One, he also stood out on the streets with the unparalleled McLaren F1, which more than 30 years later still holds the record for the fastest naturally aspirated car in the world. It was a light, powerful, revolutionary car, the result of an automotive passion. Years later, Gordon Murray Automotive emerges with a machine that many consider the rightful successor to the unforgettable McLaren F1, the GMA T50, presented by the brand as the most driver-focused car ever made. This engineering masterpiece is shaped by obsessions and a passion for motorsport. It is not a car based on numbers, but on experiences. At the heart of the T50 lies one of the most brilliant engines of our time. Even though it produces only 670 horsepower, that's no small feat. Just a few years ago, that would have been the pinnacle of performance. It's enough power to generate inexplicable emotions and add a dose of danger, but not so much that it becomes almost unusable. Gordon Murray knows how to make a car enjoyable to drive and understands that a car cannot be defined purely by its numbers, so he chose to sacrifice part of the marketing to have an excellent product.
Oh my God, do you know about it? Everything is fabulous.
Designed by Cosworth, the heart of our beast is made up of 12 cylinders arranged in a V at a 65-degree angle. However, without any turbo assistance and with only 3.9 liters, resulting in an impressive specific power of 172 horsepower per liter and even more impressive 178 kilograms. In summary, it is the lightest naturally aspirated V12 in the world and also the naturally aspirated engine with the highest specific power in the world. But the cherry on top is that it can rev up to 12,100 RPM, making it almost a Formula One engine. All of this, of course, results in that sound that resembles a refined melody. Again, naturally aspirated engines are less efficient than turbo engines, but they deliver a much quicker response when the driver steps on the accelerator. And this car can go from 0 to maximum RPM in just 0.3 seconds. Another problem with naturally aspirated engines is that, in addition to having fewer horsepower, they have less torque at low revs. However, this V12 features variable valve timing, which makes 71% of the total torque available from 2,500 RPM. One of the most striking obsessions in the GMA T50 is the obsession with low weight. The car weighs a third less than the average current supercar, less than a Corolla, less than a ton. They are an impressive 997 kilograms with a lot of power and performance. Weight reduction begins with the engine assembly, such as the IASM system, which reduces the propagation of unwanted engine vibrations while also handling lateral, acceleration, and braking forces very well. This allows for a reduction of about 25 kilograms in the rear of the car compared to traditional methods. Another major advance lies in the ingenuity of integrating structural elements with functional elements, such as the semi-structural gearbox and engine mounted on the chassis, and the use of exterior panels also as structural parts.
My first thought was, well, that's not that impressive really for two carbon fiber front wings. And then you realise that actually it's the full structure of the front of the car.
Unlike the McLaren F1, these panels are now made of carbon fiber, a material essential for this weight reduction. Carbon fiber is one of the most coveted materials by the automotive industry, as it is at least 3 times lighter than steel, yet 10 times more resistant. This material was used in the F1 monocoque and later also in the T50 monocoque. And if we add the weight of the external panels and the monocoque, we reach less than 150 kilograms. In addition, other minor weight cuts were applied, such as the extensive use of aluminum factory titanium exhaust, which even compensates for the additional weight of the catalysts, which are mandatory today, and even simplifying the central panel to aid in this diet. To make all of this even more incredible, the 3 seats in the car weigh only 13 kilograms, but together, Speaking of seats, another extremely striking feature of this car is the organization of the interior. It features a central seat for the driver and 2 extra seats right behind.
Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely a starting point for me when I thought about the car. You know, it had to be driver in the middle, no pedal offsets, fantastic visibility, really low scuttle height, and a complete focus on the driver and the owner of the car.
This configuration provides a unique experience for the driver, improving their field of vision and connection with the car, as well as increasing legroom for passengers. Moreover, the weight distribution becomes practically perfect, and it is still possible to cut costs. After all, some countries like the USA use the driver's seat on the left side, while others like the United Kingdom adopt the driver's position on the right side. In this way, the central seat cuts costs by serving any country. The obsession with the driver's experience is so intense that GMA went back in time and put a contradictory manual transmission in its supercar. The manual transmission is not the most efficient, so much so that Max Verstappen, for example, prefers the sequential transmission as it saves several tenths in a lap. However, the manual transmission is an option adopted by drivers who desire a more raw, visceral, and connected experience with the car. We are talking about a 6-speed transmission, which weighs only 82 kilograms wrapped in an aluminum structure just 2.4 millimeters thick. And maintaining the rustic idea, the dashboard features an analog tachometer, even though it still uses 2 screens on each side of the tachometer and 2 more screens that serve as mirrors. It's as if the practical part of the car is modern and the cool part is vintage. Additionally, one of the goals of the T50 is for it to be usable in everyday life, which is evident in its gear ratios, where the first 5 provide strong acceleration and the last one is optimized for cruising. To assist with this usability, the car has 288 liters of luggage space. In theory, it's a supercar that you can use for a long trip without many problems. According to Gordon Murray, this car has the most advanced aerodynamics ever implemented in a street car. The T50 was the perfect stage to put into practice his invention from over 40 years ago, which was used in the BT-46B and was banned shortly after the first race. The idea was a fan that sucks air from the floor of the car, increasing downforce, and also pulls air from the top to improve engine cooling. This time, the large 400mm fan has 6 modes, with 2 automatic ones and 4 that the driver must choose. They serve both to increase downforce by 50% and to reduce drag by up to 12.5%. cutting 10 meters off the braking distance when going from 241 kilometers per hour to 0. It also features a VMAX boost mode that minimizes the car's drag by connecting the fan to the starter generator, allowing the engine to accelerate with 700 horsepower for short periods of time. This fan works in conjunction with a small spoiler, which can either tilt upwards at 45 degrees or tilt slightly downwards. Using this technology is much more efficient than simply using a large airfoil like the one on the Koenigsegg Jesko attack, because the faster you go, the more efficient the airfoil will be, but at a certain speed, the downforce simply translates into drag and becomes a hindrance. Thus, the fan at the rear allows for low-speed utilization, reduces drag when necessary, and also helps with engine cooling. Even though many consider it an ugly element, it is undeniable that it is very efficient. The GMA T50 is a car that promises little but delivers a lot. Its simple design and modest numbers hide one of the most brilliant cars ever created. He is much more than an engine on wheels. He is a work of engineering art. There is also an improved version of this car, the T50S Niki Lauda, but that's a topic for another time. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.